Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me. Today I'm going to show you how I made this Wakanda inspired neck corset. So I started off with looking for a pattern online, and it took me a while to get what I was after. I just looked up neck corset patterns. There were quite a few neck corset patterns online. One tip that I'll give you is when you do find a pattern, make sure it gives you a 360 or it shows at least the front and the back. That way you know what you're getting yourself into. And so I ended up going to Etsy, and I'm quite regular on Etsy, and I purchased a pattern on Etsy, and it's this neck corset pattern. I'll link it down below. And once I had the pattern, all I needed to do was decide which size, and I went for the medium. So the good thing about this pattern is it comes in 3 sizes. There's small, medium, and large. And then all I did was cut out all the shapes, and I just lined them up. So this is what I'm doing now. My plastic bag, I recycle my plastic bags, and so I use my plastic bag to draw my design. I'll just trace all these shapes onto my plastic bag. You will notice that when I'm tracing, I'm not tracing the pattern per se. I'm adding extra lines on the bottom, and I'll just mark out where this neck corset was supposed to end. So as you can see, I'm putting extra line at the back, and then here I'll just put those 2 marker points to show where the pattern is supposed to end. That's because this pattern, when I saw it online, it was quite short. It was a short corset, it was a short necklace, and I want it to be long. I want it to be longer than out and stuck together. Have a look where I've marked out this line. So this is where the corset was supposed to finish. That's why I had to add some extension to make it longer, because obviously if it was going to come up to there, it was going to be too short. So now I'm going to do, well, my happy dance. And once I've finished celebrating, I'm going to take my marker pen and mark out where my pattern should go. And then once it's on EVA, of my corset, and I'm pretty happy with that. Once it's on EVA, as I mentioned, I'll trim it a bit further. So let's go outside. Today is quite a sunny day, so I've decided to do this outside for 2 reasons. The first reason is the sun, and the second reason is because that glue, the contact cement that I use, the smell is so strong. I don't like doing it inside. Normally I work from my garage, that's my workstation, but I prefer to do it outside. Today I'm using this EVA foam sheet. It's 5mm thick, and I actually got this from Spotlight. I was quite shocked that they had this. And so all I'm going to do is I like to just stick my pattern onto the EVA foam. So I used pins, and that's the lazy me. And then once it's all drawn out, I'm going to cut it out using my All my pieces cut out. I'll just line them up for you. I just make sure when I'm lining them, I'm checking where each one is going. So I'm checking the numbers. I'm checking whether it's going on the left or the right. And then all I'll do is put my contact cement, wait for a few minutes, and then I'll start sticking everything together. And so this is the finished product, and I'm looking at the pattern, and I'm just going to mark out where I need to trim or cut out excess EVA foam. And once I finish trimming, I'll check out my pattern, and it looks much better. Next, I'm taking my foam clay and I'm going to mold my, I don't know whether they're teeth or claws. So I'm not sure, actually. I'm not quite sure, 100% sure. So I just have to mold a couple of these, I'll call them claws. A couple of these claws, and the first one, the main one, which is the one I'm doing right now, it's a bit longer than the rest. So I use water with my foam clay because water makes it smooth. Once I get the shape, I can smooth it out with water. And so I'm going to use baking paper just because it becomes sticky, and when I put it on baking paper, it's not as sticky and it won't stick onto the surface. And then I'll leave it to dry. While my claws are drying, I'm having a look at my corset, and I can tell this part is not as comfortable as I want. So I decided to cut out that V part and use this faux leather. So I'm gonna do the same process. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna just trace my pattern, but I'm doing the short version this time because it's just a short corset that I need. And when I did this, I should have actually used the small size because I want it to be snug and fit. And now I'm sewing it all together, and this is what it looks like. See how it's much more flexible. My idea was to cut out that V out and stick the rest of the corset onto this leather. So fingers crossed it works. Well, it did work because I finished the video, but that was just me thinking out loud. Next, I'm going to use my mannequin and my plastic bag recycle. See all the brands that I'm showing. I'm sticking my plastic bag onto my mannequin with some pins, and I'm going to draw or trace around the thing that comes down on the front. I don't even know what to call it. I'll just call it a thing. So the thing that comes down on the front, I'm just tracing the shape. And once I have the shape, I'm cutting it out, and then I'll cut it out on EVA foam. And I'm using the flimsy EVA foam, not the one I used before. So this is the thin one. And once it's all cut out, I'll stick it onto my neck corset. Then I'm just cutting out my half dowels. Remember, I used these on my helmet, but when I used them on the helmet, they were a bit smaller. So these are a bit bigger. I'll put the size up here. And I'm just cutting the sizes that I want, and I'm just putting my claws on to see where it will go. And once I'm happy with everything, these are the paints that I will use. So I'm going with the black smooth, purple and gold. And before I start painting, which I almost started, I'm going to just prime my neck corset. There we go. I've primed it with the white primer. My black primer had run out. It doesn't matter. And so I'm going in with my first layer of the black paint. And I do 3 coats of paint so that it looks